All right, gentlemen, welcome to MFFL Week 1 review for the 2017 season. I'm your commissioner, Corey Maurer. Most of you didn't know that, I'm sure. And this is your weekly review show. I'm trying to do some new things this year, including maybe even a live call-in. It won't be live to you, but it will be live to me. I've already screwed this up a number of times. I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm trying. I may have started over a couple times, but we'll see. We'll see how this works. And I'd just like to, off the top, to say thanks to Tim to having everybody out to his house for the draft. Everything went great. Everybody got to take some of Terry's money, and that was pretty awesome. So pretty much, I'm going to go over some games here. Usually I like to pick the game of the week. That's typically the highest scoring and closest game combined, maybe the biggest upset, that type of thing. So we'll see. I'm going to start with... Oh, what's that? Amazing. All right. We've got the Sticky Bandits owner, Ryan Powell, on the phone right now. Ryan, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. I just feel privileged to be on the phone with the commissioner of such an esteemed league. I'm happy that I was able to join this group.
Yeah.
Feeling good.
Well, we're happy that you're with us too, and we're all bummed that you couldn't make the draft and play poker and take everybody's money, but we understand that you had other things.
If it wasn't for laying on the beach in Jamaica, I'd feel bad about it too.
Right.
I'm definitely looking forward to it for next year.
Yes, we feel horrible for you. It must have been an awful experience.
It was awful.
Right. So listen, man, you already had been shit-talking a little bit. Not really, because everybody, including you, expected to get blown out week 1 by the current champ. And that didn't really happen. So why don't you tell me do you watch the games on Sundays? Like, how do you do your fantasy footballing?
So to start with, I had pretty low expectations for week 1. I kind of followed what the Biohazards did last year, and I knew my team was still trying to come together. I had some indecisiveness on who to start at running back. I left 22 points on the bench this week, which was pretty disappointing. So, going into this week, I thought, I'd throw a lineup out there and see what happens. And, the fantasy football gods seem to have handed me a gift week 1. And I couldn't be more thankful for that. To answer your question, I try to watch at least 1 or 2 games. I watched the Patriots game on Thursday to see how Cooks fit in with the new offense. And I follow along on the app throughout most of the day. And then I got that team stream about the running back going down hurt for the Biohazards, and at that point I knew I had a chance. So going into the Sunday night games, he needed a kicker to score 16 points. If it was going to happen to anyone, I thought it would happen to me. But fortunately, we came out victorious in our first win in the league.
Yeah. I mean, it does happen. I think I even texted you that kickers have been known to kick all field goals for the team during the week and go up to 16 or 15, 18 points, something crazy. So yeah, it happens. But listen, man, you did leave Gillisley on the bench, which honestly I wasn't surprised at. I know you got shit for it before the fact or after the fact, but New England's running back situation isn't exactly solid. So,
right.
And
watching that game, he didn't start. So the first drive, I was like, okay, maybe this was a good choice. And then they got in the 5-yard line, and lo and behold, here he comes. So that might have to be a change moving forward.
Right. I was just going to say, do you think you're going to start him from now on just because of that, or just...
I think he's at least going to get the week 2 start and see if they continue to feed him the rock in the red zone. I was... Before the draft, I was pretty nervous about my running back core. But I think Gillisley, Miller, Bull Powell, and Peterson, is pretty. If they can come to play, I might be able to do some damage here if the Saints can figure out how to get Peterson the ball.
Yeah,
we'll have to see.
Yeah, I think that's a big question mark too. They seem to not really use him, Adrian Peterson.
Yeah.
I mean, a whole lot. So that's debatable if he's, he had 18 yards, got a point, which obviously wasn't going to help. You didn't start him anyway, so that doesn't matter. But
right. But moving forward, I hate to say it, but I don't know how he's going to work into my lineup, and how valuable he really is for the league at this point. So
right.
We'll have to wait and see. Fortunately, I think I got him for close to the league minimum this year. Because of him being out last year, so it didn't really hurt me to keep him on the squad.
Right. Yep. Yeah, it's a big thing to have low salaries, like your opponent didn't, and he's seeing the effects of when somebody gets hurt, and that does happen. Let's see, you got Allen Robinson on your squad, right? So.
Well, I actually we released him this week.
Oh, that's right.
I was going to try to make a move with him, but, he was out he had a really down year last year, and with the injury this year, I mean, his value, I think, is going to plummet. Plus, he plays for Jacksonville, and they're awful.
Yeah. I mean, when you don't really have a quarterback, and they're just like, well, Henny had a shot, and he sucks, so we'll put Bortles back out there, and we'll just see what he can do, and he still sucks, and...
Yeah. At this point, it made more sense for me to release him, I think, than to try to, and it's unfortunate because he was one of my keepers this year.
Right.
But, it just didn't work out, so.
Yep, you got to do what you got to do. People get hurt, and that's what happens. So, well, listen, man, thanks for calling, and we'll keep in touch over the year, and we'll see how things go for you.
Yeah, sounds great, man. Thanks for the call, and thanks for having me on. I look forward to doing it again.
All right, thanks. Good luck.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
See ya. All right. Well, that was Ryan Powell there talking for the Sticky Bandits. Looking over this game real quick. He did have Aaron Rodgers with 18. Pretty decent game. Nothing spectacular. Seattle shut Green Bay down pretty much. But he did come through in the end. These numbers aren't great. I mean, he did get 13 from special teams for the Steelers. Everybody else is in single digits. But like he said, he did have Gillislee on the bench with 22, which his opponent, the Biohazards, pointed out online on our site. It didn't really matter. The total was 67 to 56. Everybody knows by now David Johnson went down for the Biohazards week 1. Pretty much everybody in fantasy world's nightmare. If you were an owner, of course, anybody that had the first or second pick probably had him. So it's going to be interesting to see going forward here what Tim of the Biohazards, the current champ of the MFFL, will do with a very loaded but expensive roster and not a lot of space. He did have Matt Ryan come through for 17, but that was pretty much it. So I'm just going to take a second here and let's see if I can get someone else on the phone. I'm not sure if I can do this very smoothly, and I really don't want to start over. So we're going to go right now to the review for the new team, the Tree Town Trojans, which if you're not familiar, Tree Town is Ann Arbor. For some reason, a couple people didn't know that that's what it's called. The Tree Town Trojans, new owner Jason Calhoun, and played against the newly named Honolulu Blues, which was before the Fighting Sioux. I like it. Oh, here we go right now. Here we go. All right. You are live on the air, Mr. Nandu Kasuku of the Honolulu Blues. How you doing, pal?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. And I wanted to express my gratitude for you calling in here and discussing a week 1 which I think was probably the game of the week, 87-82 against your buddy, the Treetown Trojans. Didn't come out on the great end for you, but what do you have to say about week one? How did that go down for you?
Well, going in to the week, I kind of thought that I had a pretty good shot at winning. I thought I had a pretty good shot at winning, but I thought that I actually thought Cam Newton was going to have a pretty big week just because of how bad the 49ers are.
Right.
But what ended up happening was really nobody on Carolina's team had a big week because they didn't have to do a whole lot.
Right.
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 So that kind of bothered me. I wasn't expecting a whole lot out of Travis Kelce. I was expecting more than 4 points, but I'm not surprised given how New England Patriots usually play tight ends and given how good their defense is. However, they ended up giving up a whole bunch of points to Kareem Hunt. So
right.
I don't know. I really don't know what to think about all of that. And, of course, I left 19 points on the bench with the Jaguars, which would have obviously sealed the deal for me. I started them in another league, but for whatever reason, I just really like the Chargers. I think I listened a little bit too much to what a lot of people were saying in the offseason about the Chargers defense.
Right.
Really Jaguars, in retrospect, it seems like a really obvious play because the Houston Texans quarterback situation is just a complete cluster. You know what? So.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean that's usually how we do it. We look back and we see that you should have done that and should have done this and shouldn't have played that guy, but it's all luck in the end, and especially defensively, you have no clue what's going to happen, where the points are going to come from, and just because the defense is good and you shut a team down, you don't get points from it, so... But looking at your lineup, man, I mean, 14 from your quarterback's not great. That's not horrible, but it's not great. But you did get 15 from Gurley. You got 14 from Montgomery, which I was kind of surprised at.
I was a little surprised, too. I didn't know what to... I would have thought it would have been a lot from... I think it was going to have a good game because the Colts are just, as I'm sure you know, a complete disaster.
Oh, yeah.
Dumpster fire. So I was all over Gurley.
Yep.
But, Montgomery, I didn't know what to expect. But, they've been saying in the offseason, the thing is you don't really know what's coach speak and what's real.
Right.
Because in the offseason, everybody was, the coaches were like, look, we like Ty Montgomery. Last year was his first full year playing running back.
Yep.
Favre got a little annoyed with him, but, at times, but he was really learning the position. And then you listen to all these, knucklehead draft picks are all like, oh, my God, Jamal Williams.
Oh, yeah.
Take over the role, and he's got to be the guy you want to own, and blah, 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 blah. And the guy played I don't even know. I haven't looked at the snap count yet, but I know it wasn't very much.
No, yeah, I didn't really hear anything from him after the game, and it's the shiny new thing, right? Oh, we've got this rookie running back, and we paid him this money and took him with this pick, and he's going to be awesome. And you're right. I think they just have to say that, and it's.
But you don't know what to. So you hear that,
right?
You're like, well, these guys do this stuff for a living,
right? Right.
So if they're saying that Montgomery is going to be playing second fiddle, you just sort of think, well, who knows what you're going to get with Montgomery? So
right.
Yeah, it was encouraging for sure.
Yeah, I was surprised. You got 18 from Antonio Brown, which could have been even more if he had scored, but I think you got to take that the way that game started. Especially, it looked like Pittsburgh wasn't going to do anything.
Yeah, no kidding.
Emmanuel Sanders with a big fat 2. So yeah. I was surprised looking at it. You look at your lineup, I'm like, yeah, that's pretty good. Some question marks there. And then I look at your bench, and you got Dez sitting there. Not that he did anything, but I was surprised that you didn't have him in there just name recognition alone.
Well, the thing is I will say this: the one thing that I have heard, I do a lot of driving back and forth from my office to downtown, and so I listen to a ton of podcasts. And of all the things that I heard people say in the offseason, one that at least for a week has seemed to have held up is that he doesn't play very well against really good cornerbacks. Like somebody wrote this article about this. They did this like deep dive on Des Bryant against like really good cornerbacks, like what's the guy's name, Janoris Jenkins from the Giants.
Yeah,
he doesn't play very well against really good cornerbacks, but he lights up really bad ones. So I had that kind of in the back of my mind, and I don't know. Sanders dropped it. Sanders catches that. I think he dropped one in the end zone, or it was kind of a tough catch. But Sanders had a couple of instances. There were a couple of instances where it looked like Sanders might have been able to come up with more catches. But
yeah,
you're right. I mean, ordinarily I would say that Dez should be the play. And that, admittedly, the Chargers got pretty good corners too. So I mean,
right?
I don't know. Who the hell knows?
Right. Well, the point is really that you didn't really go wrong because it didn't matter who you played at receiver. You weren't. That wasn't going to make a difference in this game. So you could at least look at it like that positively, right?
Right.
Yeah. Right. Well, listen, man. Thanks for calling in, and I appreciate the time. And hopefully next week. You're not playing me, so hopefully next week you'll do better.
I sure hope so. I feel bad for Tim with his David Johnson injury. I got him in another league. And
I've heard that.
It's interesting to see how that plays out for my team in my other leagues. So.
Yeah, I've heard that from a number of guys that, I've got him in this other league. Oh, because that's if you had one of the first two picks, you took him. So. Yep. Everybody, if you're playing multiple leagues, I'm sure your opponent, Jason, Treetown Trojans, has him in 15 leagues since he's in so many. So
he's out of control.
Yeah. But
out of control.
All right, man. Well, we'll talk to you later. Thanks, dude.
Sounds good.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
All right. So that was Nandu Kasuku from the Honolulu Blues. Really having the Blues there, losing his first game. Close game, 87-82. We talked about his lineup pretty well here. There was really no way around this loss for him. I mean, could have put in Fleener at tight end, who ended up with 11. I don't know. He had Kelsey, which is widely regarded as one of the best tight ends in the league, so that's questionable. But on the winning side, so our second new owner, both start 1-1 or 1-0. The Treetown Trojans here at 18 from Derek Carr. C.J. Anderson 8 did okay, but Melvin Gordon 13 looked really good. Doug Baldwin didn't do much. Martavis Bryant did almost nothing. I don't know. Excuse me about Pittsburgh. His teammate there, Antonio Brown, on the other side, 18 points, 182 yards, and Bryant gets 14 yards, so he didn't even look at him, really. Zach Ertz did okay with 9, Will Lutz 13. Big one was the defense comes through with 19. The Rams defense playing the Colts. Listen, if you have a defense on your roster and they're playing the Colts, you need to start them, at least until Luck comes back. And honestly, when Luck, assuming he comes back at some point, he's been throwing a lot of picks the last few years too. So I think that whole team, like Nandu said, is just a disaster. On the bench here for the Trojans, the Treetown Trojans had a lot of points here on the bench. Deshaun Kaiser had 19 in his debut. Stephon Diggs with 21, a huge game, 2 touchdowns, 93 receiving yards. So looking pretty good. Maybe this guy knows what he's doing. Let's go to the next game here. We'll start at the top of my list. The War Pigs, that's me, at the Kielbasa Kings, 74-53. War Pigs had the week 1 bye for his drafted quarterback. I'm saying his. It's my drafted quarterback, Jameis Winston. I was trying to get away from the Roethlisberger like I had last year. The guy's getting old, acted like he was going to retire this year. Didn't do that, but luckily for the Steelers, I think, played okay. A couple passing touchdowns, 263 yards. Not bad. 18 points. I'll take it. I did pick up Winston on the waiver wire today to get back to what I was planning on doing, so we'll see how that goes. Probably bite me in the ass. Jordan Howard comes through with 12. Decent day. Did drop what maybe have been the game-winning touchdown for Chicago over Atlanta. Big upset there. Could have been. Jonathan Stewart, late-round grab for me in the draft just to have a body that would play. Ends up with 13 points. Awesome. Jordy Nelson does his usual. Comes through with 13. That's pretty much for me. On the bench, didn't really have anything that stuck out except Tyreek Hill. One of my first picks, I think that was third round, maybe it was second round I took him, not sure. I have to go look. 19 points, 133 receiving yards, and a touchdown. That dude gets a lot of play in that team, so that might be something I have to adjust to going forward. And also Austin Hooper, the Hoop, with 18 points, which, looking into it, was really one big play for a touchdown. He had 2 catches for 128 yards for a tight end. Anyway, I don't know. 74 from me, Kabasa Kings, my bro-in-law here. Also replacing his normal quarterback, Andrew Luck, who, I don't know the future of that guy. I don't know how long he's going to be out. Doesn't look good now. Had to start Dak Prescott. Didn't do horrible, 16 points. The problem was the rest of the team, except Amari Cooper came through with 12. Everybody else, single digits. Rookie phenom Christian McCaffrey only was 7 versus his teammate Jonathan Stewart's 13, so that hurt him. On his bench, he did have 18 from rookie Detroit receiver Kenny Galladay. So who knows? I don't know if that's a normal thing that's going to happen. He's going to become a go-to guy for Stafford. I guess we'll have to see. Next game here, we've got Bad Company with 103 points lead the league for week 1. Kirk Cousins with 16. Elliott with 13. DeAndre Hopkins surprisingly with 11, even though Houston was awful and had to start Deshaun Watson later. I think it was the second half he started, maybe a little earlier. He did score 55 yards. Word was out that Jordan Reed has a broken toe, so we'll see how that goes for him for the rest of the year. And this is the interesting thing here. His bench, Bad Company bench, 0 points for the entire week for every player on that bench. I'm not sure. A couple of those were buys, but everybody else got nothing. That's interesting. I'm not sure if I've ever seen that before. But the big thing here was Kareem Hunt. This pick basically fell into Dave's lap at the draft. The day before the draft, the day of the draft, Spencer Ware. You know what? Actually, that was the day after the draft. He's declared out for the rest of the season. So this pick was actually not necessarily a safe one. Kareem Hunt, rookie, everybody liked him, but Spencer Ware was still there. Were they going to split time? Blah, blah, blah. Comes out the day after the draft. Spencer Ware's out for the rest of the season. Kareem Hunt blows up. 41 freaking points. This is after fumbling in his first carry in the NFL. So huge pickup. And then he gets the news that Ezekiel Elliott's legal issues may be on hold until the season's over. Possibly could play the entire season. That's not confirmed at all. Wow, if he gets both of those guys going, could this be the year for the Bad Company? I'm not sure. But his week 1 opponent, Cartel, suffered at the hands of those 103 points. Mariota gets 18, pretty good. His kicker got 11, and nobody else got double digits. So you're not going to beat a guy scoring 100 points with that type of output. I thought Marshawn Lynch looked pretty good from what I saw during the game, but only ended up with 8 points. Larry Fitzgerald was 7. I feel like I remember him getting hurt too. Carson Palmer looked awful. And now they've lost David Johnson, so I don't know Larry Fitzgerald going forward, how that's gonna play. Surprising Greg Olsen with 1 point. I don't know about Carolina either. On the bench, did get 10 from Blunt. Tariq Cohen, the rookie running back from Chicago, 16 points. I don't know. I feel like he did take some touches away from Jordan Howard, but he's also like a quick scat back type of guy. And we'll see. He got some receiving yards. He got some rushing yards. Dude looked pretty good. Hopefully it doesn't affect me with Jordan Howard. And Adam Thielen on the bench with 15. So Minnesota looked pretty good too. I don't know how long that's going to last, but that was interesting. So a couple more here. We got the Broad Street Bullies and Untouchables. This was an awful game. No offense, guys. 56-47. These pals in real life, the Untouchables, 10 from Russell Wilson, 15 from McCoy, so that's good. Nobody else with double digits. The Bullies, again, 10 from Brady. That was a really weird game, too. I don't know if that's ever going to happen again this year. 13 from Dalvin Cook. Pretty good there. Would have been nicer if he got into the end zone, I'm sure. But then he had to start Latavius Murray from the same team in the same backfield. And I know that's because Ajayi was on bye for that week 1 bye. But maybe, you find somebody else on the waiver wire or something, because you can't start 2 running backs on the same team. I know his hand was pushed, but it's strange. I don't think Murray's going to do anything this year, and he didn't in week 1. Did get 10 from Golden Tate. Nobody else in double digits there. On the benches, Corey Coleman for the Bullies with 11. Jeremy Maclin with 11. And Fournette looked really good in his first game. I don't know. Jacksonville's going to be horrible. Houston's going to be worse. I was surprised that Jacksonville was able to put up 29 with the team that they had, but Fournette looked really good. Had 18 on the bench. Cooper Kupp with 13 also on the bench for the Untouchables. But the Untouchables won 56-47, so those wouldn't have made a difference anyway. And the last game of the week, closest game of the week, Bionic Commandos 61, Lead Dogs 60. Came right down to the wire there. Monday Night Football, Commandos had Drew Brees, ends up with 15 after looking horrible most of the game. Came through in the end, did get that 1 passing touchdown. Nobody else in double digits for the Commandos there. That was a rough game. The Lead Dogs, 28 from Stafford and 11 from Matt Bryant, and nobody else got more than 5 in this starting lineup. That is even rougher than his opponent, the Commandos. Did have Terrence West on the bench with 14. Jason Witten had 11 on the bench. Obviously, those would have won him the game. Nothing on the Commandos bench of note. Everything single digits or just awful. That was a bad game as well, but the Commandos get the win, and that's all that matters unless you're playing for the points total at the end. So, week 1, pretty crazy. A lot of stuff, a lot of injuries, or a few injuries anyway, and some interesting games going through. So that was a very long review. I appreciate the guys calling in. That was cool. Hopefully we can do that every week. I can figure things out so it's a little smoother. And that's it. Get ready for week 2. It starts very soon. All right, guys. See ya. Artist of the Week, Alice in Chains.